Let me go ahead and give you the point of the next several episodes. Welcome back to the Midweek Bible Study. We're in Luke chapter 9, starting at verse 37. There are some strange things that happen in this particular chapter, and it's a long one. It goes more than 60 verses, and they seem to be a bit choppy. Unless you understand a theme here, it's really easy to misread or get confused or just kind of skip forward. Here's what's going on. Jesus knows that his time is short. Now, how he knew it, how God revealed it to him, it seems to be at the Transfiguration. He got a lot of inside information. He, in fact, was talking to Moses and Elijah about his departure, or as some versions say, about his death. Therefore, after it, he's a little different than he was before. And you're going to find him rather sharp. But we need to take a look at the target of that sharpness and make sure we understand what was going on in Jesus's mind and what was going on with his disciples. And we start with a story that sounds very, very familiar, a healing story. Starting at verse 37. The next day, when they came down from the mountain, a large crowd met him. A man in the crowd called out, "Teacher, I beg you to look at my son, for he is my only child. The spirit seizes him, and he suddenly screams. It throws him into convulsions so that he foams at the mouth. It scarcely ever leaves him. It's destroying him. I begged your disciples to drive it out, but they could not." Then Jesus says something which seems just unduly harsh, uncalled for, frankly. He says, "O believing and perverse generation," Jesus replied, "how long shall I stay with you and put up with you? Bring your son here." Well, a couple of things that you need to keep in mind here, or you're going to blow this and think Jesus had a little fit himself. Jesus has just talked to Moses and Elijah about what's coming up. It has hit him pretty hard too. Now he comes down and finds that his apostles, his disciples, were not as confident and strong as they needed to be. Instead, they were timid. And they were timid as they approached things like this demon, to the point where they couldn't throw it out, where Jesus gave them the power to do that. Now, Jews actually had traveling exorcists. They'd picked up a lot of demonology while they were in Babylon. They picked up some more from Egypt later on, and that informed their opinions about demons and what to do with them and why they were there and the cause of evil and the like. But you'll remember some of them got in trouble with Paul because they tried to throw out a demon, and the demon says, "I know Paul and I know Jesus, but we don't know you." And the demon beat him up and left him naked and bleeding in the streets, which is less than optimal outcome for somebody that makes their living as an exorcist, I would assume. So, what's Jesus doing here? He's turning to the disciples. We can see this because there's a theme which continues throughout this chapter. And that theme is they're not ready. They should be ready. He's given them 3 years, 3-ish, a little more, a little less, we're not sure. He's given them time. He's worked with them. They've traveled 24/7. They should know. They should move with confidence, but they're not. And there isn't going to be much time for them to grow spines and decide to stand up and be strong and courageous and do the right thing. So he's talking to them because he's not upset at the man. He's not upset at the crowd. He's going to heal the man's son. Oh, spoiler alert, but I think you probably already knew that. He's going to heal the man's son. So he's still open-hearted toward the man. And in fact, in other versions of this story, in the other Gospels, we find he even has the man tell his story. How long has this been going on? He allows the man, because he's a victim too. The daddy is a victim too. And so he's working both of them to help both of them. Well, the scripture says, even while the boy was coming, the demon threw him to the ground in a convulsion. But Jesus rebuked the evil spirit, healed the boy, and gave him back to his father. And they were all amazed at the greatness of God. Okay, that's kind of boilerplate. That's kind of traditional. We understand that. And we would be too. If we saw the healing, we would also be amazed at the glory of God and the power of God and the love of God. But then Jesus turns around back to his disciples while everybody is marveling, going, wow, look at this, how amazing. Jesus turns back to his disciples and says, listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you. Now that's very uncharacteristic. Maybe we should pay attention. The Son of Man is going to be betrayed into the hands of men. Now, why didn't he say more? Maybe he did and Luke just didn't record it. But I have the feeling that Jesus' emotions were running pretty high right now. What if God came down to you and opened up heaven, and there were a couple of your pantheon of heroes there with him, and they were saying, you're going to die. And it's going to be really horrible. And the people that kill you are the very people you've shown love to. And they're going to do it in such, you're going to have to be strong. And then they go away. And then walks your husband scratching his head and going, well, what's for breakfast? Would you be a little sharp? I think you would be a little sharp. Is that understandable? Absolutely. Would you have a whole lot to say? Probably not, because you're still inner processing. It says they did not understand what this meant. It was hidden from them. Now, don't get the idea that this was like a God and Pharaoh thing and God hardening their heart or God plugging up their ears, as Isaiah would say. No, it's hidden from them because they don't have the background to understand what's going on here. Let me give you an example. Have you ever shown up to school and they announce a test that you forgot about? So you hadn't prepared? Well, the answers were hidden from you. The entire process was. Have you ever had a meeting at business? They call a meeting and there was some pre-meeting homework and you didn't get to it? Yeah. I'll give you an example from me. John Polkinghorne, spelled exactly as it sounds, Polkinghorne with an E on the end, was one of the top preeminent physicists of the last century and also an ordained minister, ordained priest in the Episcopalian Church. He was a professor at Oxford, Cambridge. I mean, just mind-blowing intelligence. And there are a lot of his stuff still online if you look him up, even some videos, and they're quite impressive. They're bad quality because remember the old VHS in earlier days, but they're high quality information about why he believed in God and why he continues to believe and why science drove him to God. It's really, but it's deep. And I can remember this is a long time ago and I was just trying to get into quantum physics. And John Polkinghorne, of all people, wrote a little book. And it was a little book. It was a small format book on Amazon that you could get for just, I think, $5 or $6. And it was a brief introduction to quantum physics. And it could have even written down below that for beginners. I don't remember that bit. It was brief, 45 pages, maybe. And I was going, yes, good, I'm in. So I ordered it, very excited. I'm a scientific mind. I have an education and ton of reading, thousands of books, literally. And I remember most of them, so I was ready. I wasn't ready. By page 6, I was completely lost. And I was going, this is brief. This is an introduction. Try it again. I tried about 3 times before it dawned on me, this is hidden from me because I've not done the pre-work. There's some higher level physics that I haven't even thought about. And I'm going to have to go back there and work for years before I'm able to approach this subject. So I did. And now I know it's not hidden from me, but it's still mind-blowing. And I still can't explain it to you. It's hidden from them because this is entirely new. They didn't visit with Moses and Elijah. They didn't get the inside information. And in fact, most of them weren't on the mountain. It was just Peter, James, and John. James and John knew enough not to say a word. Peter said a couple things, and that got shot down pretty fast. So everything's changed, but they don't understand what's going on. Plus, they're on a rocket to the moon here. They're with the Son of Man, Jesus, God in flesh, the Son of God, the Messiah. He is going to lead us into this new revelation. It's going to be fantastic. Oh my goodness, we just can't wait. They don't understand that there's going to be what looks like a flame out and a fail. And they're going to have to be tough. Jesus knows. Jesus now knows what's going to happen, and that people are going to scatter, and faith is going to hit rocks, and they're not going to know what to do, and there's going to be despair. There's going to be confusion. And so he's trying to tell them, I don't have much time. I'm going to be betrayed into hands of men. God is going to be taken by men. That's a hard concept. How can man kill God? I mean, that's a real hard concept. And they hadn't done the pre-meeting prep. They didn't know. They didn't understand. And it says they were afraid to ask him about it. You ever been afraid to ask somebody about it? Because to ask them would reveal your complete lack of preparation. Like some guys around Christmas, and we're getting close to Christmas here, guys, so start tuning up. Learn. Whenever the presents are going out, they're thinking, uh-oh. And they'll lean over to their wife and go, did we get my mother something? We, that's the pronoun you chose? That's an interesting choice. You hadn't prepared. Or have you even thought, I wonder if we did, but I don't want to ask. Well, this is about 100 times worse than that. And to understand the rest of this chapter, you have to understand that this is all about their immaturity. They're not ready for what's coming, and Jesus is trying to get them ready. As proof, here they go. An argument started among the disciples as to which of them would be the greatest. Well, that sounds like a group of guys. Jesus, knowing their thoughts, took a little child and had him stand beside him. Then he said to them, whoever welcomes this little child in my name welcomes me. And whoever welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. For he who is least among you all, he is the greatest. Now, the other Gospels have a bit more information here. This is all Luke gives us for some reason, perhaps intentionally leaving it unfinished and an argument unpressed so that we could have some empathy with the disciples going, what? Not getting it at all. I love kids. Absolutely love kids. Now, true, kids can be absolutely horrid creatures and they have unlimited capacity to cruelty to each other. I get that. But that's just because their brains aren't there yet. And it's our job to train them to be civilized. It's our job to teach them about consequences and behavior. And it's our job to get them ready to live without us. And Jesus is trying to get them ready to live without him. And to do that, they're going to have to give up some of the childishness and become more childlike. God calls us to be childlike, not childish. There's no way to tell this story, this illustration, without somebody getting upset, but I'm going to do it anyway. Because if you get upset, that's really a you problem. That's not a me problem. I like to say hi to kids, wave at them. I don't ever encroach upon their territory or their space. But if I see across the restaurant little kids looking at me, I'll wave. A lot of times they'll wave back. It's our little private moment. Then it's over. And the kid's forgotten about me because the French fries showed up. And I'm cool with that. A couple of days ago, as I was walking, a family was coming the other direction. And I'm not going to describe them at all. I'm just going to say they were other. Now, to me, I understood that they were different than me, but I don't look upon people as other. I don't think. Maybe I do, but I don't think so. But they looked upon me as other. Now, whether I'm talking about race, religion, culture, whatever, you're going to have to just play with that in your little brain if you want to, but you'll miss the point. The father looked at me and scowled because I was other. The mama, holding a baby, scowled at me because I was other. But the father was pulling along a little kid, 2 or 3 years old. And I looked down, after I'd been scowled at, looked down, the little kid looked up at me, just beamed and waved. I waved back. Dad didn't see me because he was busy scowling at the next guy. The little kid, Jesus says, be like them. Don't let other enter into it. Don't let who's greatest enter into it. who's better than anybody else. Don't let that enter into it. Just be kind, smile, make human contact through your eyes and smile, that little metaphysical leap of electricity that says, hi, I see you. I think you're special and wonderful. Jesus is trying to get them ready for a life where they're not going to be the best in the world's opinion, ever. They're not even going to be called winners. And all but John die a violent death because of the faith, for goodness sake. Then they're still not there. Master, said John. Oh, it's not Peter this time. Thank goodness. All right. Master, said John, we saw a man driving out demons in your name. We tried to stop him because he's not one of us. Childish. Do not stop him, Jesus said, for whoever is not against you is for you. I had a lady give me a hard stare today as I was leaving Sam's Club. If you know what Sam's Club is, it's a wholesale place that originally started to be a supplier to restaurants and businesses, but then they gave memberships, or you bought memberships for civilians. So we go there when we buy toilet paper by 60 roll packs or something. We go there and, save a few bucks. Anyway, and I was there, and the lady evidently thought she was there first. Before I could turn around and say, please, you go, which is what I do. The lady checking the receipts at the door, security, took my receipt. So she took me first, marked me cleared, and said, go. I turned back to say I was sorry if I cut line to the other lady, and she was giving me the death stare. The problem is, I've had those before, and I'm still alive, so they don't really hurt me. And I realize this relationship is now beyond repair. There's nothing I can do because now I am her enemy. Even though I didn't mean to be, I already apologized, was turning around to wish her a good day and sorry that I held her up 20 seconds, but that wasn't going to help. Friends, why do we just automatically, nope, they are unacceptable. They are not of us. They're not one of us. Well, I know the media really wants you to do that. And so Thanksgiving's coming up. If you didn't know that, it's like tomorrow. Thanksgiving's coming up. And they say, well, if you have political differences with your parents or with your kids, here's a list of things to talk about or not to say. Or really? You want to let politics get between you and one of your family members? Seems pretty shallow because they're eternal. Politics is, it's going to be forgotten about in 3 weeks. They're going to be on to something else. So what are you doing here? Churches will do it as well. We had churches in our community that when I was growing up that were doing a lot more for the poor than we were. But our attitude was, won't do them any good. They're still going to hell because they're not one of us. Now, how dumb is that attitude? And I say it as somebody that had that attitude up into early adulthood. It's what I was told. Well, we told them to stop because they're saying it in your name and they're not. We would say those people aren't really Christians. If they really believe the Bible, then they would be like us. No, we don't get to do that. If they're doing what they're doing in the name of Jesus, if they're not against Jesus, leave them alone. That's hard to do, isn't it? Because how in the world am I going to start thinking I'm better than other people unless I find somebody else that I can look down on? I hope you're understanding that is not said as an earnest desire of my heart. We try to become greater by climbing over the bodies of those that we have lessened in our own eyes. Jesus said, stop it. Because they start doing that, they're going to do what Christians have done for 2,000 years. Disagree and split. Disagree and split. it is just, yeah. And yes, I've seen many churches split over a new church building, or that they're going to replace the pews and the carpet. And one side said this color and one side that. I'm serious. And Jesus is up there, Jesus wept, saying, would you just stop it? Somehow you got to get over yourself. It's hard to do. It really is hard for me too. I was asked by a young intern once if we could start every Monday morning with prayer. I hadn't thought of it, but he did, and he was really good at it. And one of the phrases he used in prayer really stuck with me. He said, Lord, help us get out of our way. Help us get out of our own way so we can see what you want us to do. Now, that might be rudimentary to you. That might be Jesus 101 to you. But that one really hit me because most of my prayers were pretty much Patrick-centered. And it was a struggle for me to kind of shift to the side and let Jesus show up. I hope that doesn't make you feel less of me, but the thing is, we have an agreement, you and I, that I share with you my weaknesses and faults because I don't want you to think I don't have them. There's a big pile of them. You can't see them, but I can see them and feel them, and Jesus does too. He still loves me. He's still forgiven me. He's forgiven you, but that's the truth. Fair enough? Now are we better? Not quite. And again, they don't know this, but it's really rolling fast as the time approached for him to be taken up to heaven. You see the theme? They're not getting it, and he's running out of time. Jesus resolutely set out for Jerusalem, and he sent messengers on ahead who went into a Samaritan village to get things ready for him. Well, the Samaritans hated the Jews, and the Jews hated the Samaritans, but Jesus didn't hate the Samaritans or the Jews. He is a Jew. And so he wanted them to be ready for what was about to happen. But because the people there did not welcome him, the people there did not welcome him because he was headed to Jerusalem. What they could have had so much more, but they allowed their ethnic, not national really at this stage, but ethnic divisions and religious divisions to keep them from being blessed. When the disciples, James and John, saw this, they asked, Lord, do you want us to call down fire from heaven and destroy them? Really? Really, James and John? You weren't men enough to stand up against a demon and a little boy, but you want to call down fire and destroy a village. It's all about power, isn't it? Afraid if we go up against a demon, we're going to come in second. But if we call down fire, we can do that at a distance. You ready for us to do that, God? Jesus turned and rebuked them. Find it interesting that we're not given the words of the rebuke there, but I bet it stung. Then the scripture says, and they went to another village. Jesus was just, they don't want me? Okay, let's go to the next one. The people are, oh, I'm so insulted. I'm so hurt. How could you not want? And Jesus doesn't do that. Don't do that either. Just don't. I have people that decide I need to know that I'm not their favorite. And they'll email me. I don't get very many written letters anymore. You're kind of scared when you get a handwritten envelope, aren't you? You're going, oh, I wonder if there's anthrax in this, or the Unabomber has gotten out. But get email that I don't care for your sermons. I think you're wrong here, and I just okay. Am I angry? Nope. Hurt my feelings? Nope. Do I feel a need to respond? Nope. Why? They're allowed to feel how they feel. That's fine. God's got them. God's got me. What's the point? I can get down in the mud and wrestle, but as soon as I do, I'll get covered with mud, and I don't want to be covered with mud. So let's just go to another village. You don't like me? This is a great thing about an online church, buddy. You don't have to listen. You can do that with brick and mortar too. Everybody that attends a brick and mortar church is a volunteer. They don't have to be there except for the people paid to be there. And so ministers, you need to remember that too. And elders, you need to remember that and rule them kindly with love, grace, and mercy, because everyone in there is a volunteer. They don't have to be there. I wish we would think about that more often. The people around us, these people They don't have to agree with us. And if they don't like us, that's okay. We'll just keep moving. It'll be all right. As they were walking along the road, a man said to him, I will follow you wherever you go. This is not the time to do that to Jesus. Because he knows where he's going. He's going to a cross and then a tomb. He knows about the resurrection too, but you know something? So do I. I know about the resurrection. I know I'm going to be welcomed by Jesus. I know I'm saved. But dying, not death, dying is a real concern of mine. And I'll watch a movie or TV show where somebody's in their mid-90s and they're unable to do this, that, or the other. And I'm going, oh my goodness, I don't want to live that long. But how do I die? What do I die of? These things, yeah, these are on Jesus's mind right now. And a guy's saying, hey, I'll go with you wherever you're going. Jesus replied, foxes have holes and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head. Now, normally Jesus wouldn't respond like that. He would say something like, you think that you can go wherever I go, but are you willing to drink the cup that I drink? Are you willing to go through what I... That's what he says other times. This is a very difficult time. It's right after the transfiguration. Please listen to last week. Jesus is in a troubled state. And so he is speaking far more harshly than he normally would. And then oddly, he turns to another man, follow me. Now, why would he do that? Because he knows something about that other man. And he's going to do something really harsh here too. The man goes, Lord, first let me go bury my father. Now, that didn't mean his dad was dead, lying on a bench at home. It was a Jewish expression, which meant, when my father dies, then I will be free to follow you. That was very common, that you waited for the father to die before you were free. Jesus might have started his ministry at around the age of 30 because his dad just died. Maybe. But you generally didn't start living your own life till the age of 30 anyway, if you were a man. If you're a woman, you got married a lot earlier than that. But men were under their father's house until about the age of 30 at this stage in history. Plus, if dad was still there, you still had to show him honor and you weren't entirely free. So he's really saying, as soon as my dad's out of the picture, I'm going to follow you. Jesus said to him, let the dead bury their own dead, but you go and proclaim the kingdom of God. Is that harsher than Jesus normally speaks? Yes, it is. Why? Transfiguration. Once we know that, we can see the angst, the anticipation, and the dread is impacting the way Jesus speaks, as it does to human beings. And while he is the Son of God, he is also human. I find a great comfort in knowing he wasn't a superhero that goes, but it's all going to be okay. Temporary pain at best. Glory will follow. No, he didn't talk like that. He was real. Still another says, I will follow you, Lord, but first let me go back and say goodbye to my family. Jesus replied, no one who puts his hand to the plow and looks back is fit for service in the kingdom of God. That is not the way Jesus normally talks. We should pay attention when Jesus says something which is not the way he usually says it, and go find out why. Here it's very obvious. The transfiguration, what Moses and Elijah and God revealed to him on that mountain about his upcoming death. He will become more like himself here shortly. But he does have a job for his followers to do. Remember, he's got to get them tough. He's got to get them ready to live without him. So he's got something for them to do. We've got to talk about that next week. As Advent comes, I pray you have a blessed Advent. Don't allow the naysayers that say, don't put up your Christmas tree till this. Don't listen to Christmas. You do what you want to do. If you don't want to do Christmas at all, don't do it. But if you want to start in August, go for it. Because you see, we're not here to see who's greater or best. We're here to be like Jesus, and give a smile and a wave, and be open to more. God bless you. Have a brilliant Thanksgiving. If you're on your own, I'm sorry about that, but God's with you. If you need help or comfort, reach out to us, info@oursafeharbor.com. We answer every email, and we intend to answer yours. God bless you. We'll see you next week.